I'm good.
You guys are so good. I put it on.
I mean, she won't be after.
No, it's not. I mean, if there's some public knowledge they've gotten out there, she said something like this, but it hasn't been. Okay.
Discuss that. Because I'm just kind of curious. I would have asked if we have a summer court project plan. That's one of the people doing it.
She's trying to set up some course. We should talk to Stephanie, of course. Basically, she's kind of set some of the groundwork for someone to be able to come in running.
Assuming they get, what if they don't?
Then there's people there that
Like what we're going to do or something.
well, this with the science and all this, so no, it's with some of the sciences.
It's 8 o'clock, boss.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, John. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen.
All ropes. Hold on.
All rise.
Just wait, Mr. Kinetic, guys. All right, Leah, you guys set? All two, you guys all set with the camera? Okay. Tom?
I pledge allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with provisions of this act, the Riverdale Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be publicized by having a date, time, and place thereof sent to the Record, Town News, and/or Star Ledger newspapers, the constituent borough clerks, borough libraries, as well as posting in the school district's principal's offices, faculty rooms, and board office. According to New Jersey Public Law 2001, Chapter 226, the smoking of tobacco is strictly prohibited anywhere in public school buildings or anywhere in school grounds, including but not limited to the parking lots, grassy areas, and athletic fields. Violators will be subject to a fine not to exceed $100. Okay. Roll call. Roger.
Here.
Stephanie.
Here.
Patty.
Here.
Claudia.
Here.
Paul. Dot.
Here.
Michael.
Yeah.
Tito.
Yeah.
Joe.
Here.
Allison.
Here.
And Bridget.
Here.
Bridget, seems so you've been accepted in every college in the United States. Would you read the commission, please?
Alrighty. The mission of Riverdale Regional School District is to provide a safe, student-centered environment in which each student is valued and respected, to challenge each student to reach his or her potential, to nurture every student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth, to promote a healthy work ethic, a passion for learning, and a respect for oneself and others, to develop responsible citizens for our diverse community and an ever-changing world, to continue to involve our community in an active partnership, and to provide all students the opportunity to achieve and exceed the New Jersey core curriculum content standards.
Now, if there are any public comments on agenda items only at this point, you just come to the microphone and identify yourself. And again, it's just on the agenda items right now. There will be an opportunity afterwards for additional comments. Seeing as there are none, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Fletcher for our student achievement recognition.
It's actually just my pleasure to introduce Ms. Lorraine Brooks, who is the principal of our high school, who has brought with her an army of students.
And we might need another night.
And we might need another night, because I don't think you could fit them all in.
No, we could not.
However, we do also have a presentation that's somewhat from outside our group here, right?
We do, so I'm going to start with that. Actually, you will see that these awards, or what you're going to see tonight, kind of represents a cross-section of our curriculum and our students' interests. I'm going to start with art, and I'd like to bring up Ms. Fonde and her student Shannon Hogan, and Dr. Bowe from ENT Allergy. And Ms. Fonde will explain this.
Hi, I'm David Bowe, Dr. Bowe, from ENT and Allergy. I'm representing our group as well as the American Cancer Society and Mount Sinai Medical Center. I appreciate allowing me the time to make this presentation. The importance of spreading the message to high school students about the bad effects of tobacco use is highlighted by the fact that 90% of all adults who smoke started to smoke before the age of 18. Each day, 3,000 to 6,000 children under the age of 18 start to smoke. That equates to about 800,000 new teen smokers each year. So the statistics are bad in the United States, and it's even worse around the world. That is why we are delighted to participate in the Great American Smokeout. Over the past 4 years, our group has sponsored a contest which challenges high school students to use their creative artistry to spread the anti-smoking message. Our previous contests involved the creation of original songs, original videos, and original posters. This year, our contest involved creating an innovative and unique T-shirt design which would capture the attention of the students and spread the anti-smoking message. I am pleased to recognize Shannon Hogan of Riverdale High School as the New Jersey winner of the Great American Smokeout T-shirt Design Contest. This year we had over 100 entrants into the contest, so her T-shirt design was extremely innovative and had a lot of competition. The award includes a check of $1,000 to Shannon, and a check of $1,000 to Riverdale High School. So congratulations, Shannon, and congratulations, Riverdale High School.
We don't want to say this is a large check, but we're currently fit it in your pocket. Now, this is sort of the show, and you have the real one. Hang on 1 second. If you haven't seen this T-shirt, by the way, you're going to be amazed at how cool it is. Where's Erica? There it is. What's it say, Eric? What's the slogan?
Black is not the new pink.
Black is not the new pink. It is extremely cool. And this is the most important thing, if money means nothing to you. The trophy that goes along with our award. Congratulations to you both.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Put this in your room?
Yes.
Everything goes through me.
Yes, the T-shirt, by the way, and a lot of people have asked me this, will be on sale, and all of the money goes to the American Cancer Society. Rebel, our organization, that is our anti-smoking organization, will be selling them for $20 each. Again, all proceeds go to the American Cancer Society. Next.
And it will be available at the end of the meeting as well.
Excuse me?
Excuse me, Ms. Brooks, where's the check?
I have it. They said Riverdale High School, right? We thought it would go toward the art department and their unending need for supplies. Next, we have a wonderful debate team, speaking of trophies, who constantly remind me that they need more trophy case space. So I'd like to bring up Ms. Geschwin, their advisor, and some of the students, and she can talk about all they've done this year.
Hi, I'm really excited to be here and to show off a little bit about our awesome students. I've got one of my captains here tonight, John Tunney, and actually, I did not realize that Dawn Rivas would be here, who handed me a wonderful team 2 years ago, and we've been able to continue the success. Just a few statistics about our program. This year, we had 13 varsity debaters and 8 judges, as well as 12 junior varsity debaters and 10 judges. So we have 43 students actively participating, and that includes weekly meetings as well as basically one tournament a month is what it breaks down to. 7 tournaments for the year, and then championship for both varsity and junior varsity. And out of those 7 tournaments, we took home team awards at 6 of the 7 tournaments, which is very exciting for us, as well as 3 speaker awards, and I believe 6 best judge of the tournament awards for our varsity program. So that was really outstanding. And we wound up placing, for our varsity program, 4th out of 17 programs in the county. So I'm incredibly proud of them. Among all of our wonderful debaters this year, we had true standouts for our captains. So I'm going to let John Tunney take it from here. This is one of their 5 awards for the year. I believe his partner has taken the other ones home for his mantle.
He has them on a shelf. He'll bring them back, he's promised. So this year we were talking about the merits of space travel as well as exploration and development in space. Our resolve this year was the United States federal government should substantially increase space exploration beyond the Earth's mesosphere. And we prepared speeches for that to the affirmative. And we would talk about how we should do this, how we should go into space and explore or develop. And then we also had to prepare ourselves for what other teams want to do and explain to them in a way the judge would like that that was not a good idea. And so this is what we've been doing the entire year. And we've been also attending the JV debates to see our new and upcoming debaters. And we're very, very excited to see them next year because we know they're going to do a great job. And that's about it. Thank you. I know it's a tough question.
And just to quickly mention, next year's topic will be about transportation infrastructure. So hopefully we'll get some good ideas, maybe something about a tunnel to New York. So we work on funding as well. So we'll see what we can do. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Excuse me, before you go, it's just important to point out, Rachel, who is the advisor for the high school program, is an instructor at our middle school. So that just goes to show you that we are a Riverdale School District as opposed to a middle school and then a separate high school. So Rachel comes up here and gets John out of bed. It's good to see you out of bed, John. For those of you who don't know, John was one of our performers in Willy Wonka, and he spent the whole, or except the last part of the play, in the bed, right?
And I guess at the middle school, you're recruiting then for the JV, right?
Actively, yes.
Good.
And maybe when you would even consider getting a novice program at the
We can only hope.
But yes, absolutely, I get them early.
And they all dress very well on the day of debates, I'd like to point that out. Their wardrobes are becoming increasingly fashionable every year. Thank you, Ms. Geschwin, for that. I appreciate that. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Invention Club. And one of the reasons I brought them was because they applied for, Dr. Chu applied for, and won a significant amount of money from the PTO for Connect technology. So I thought maybe they were taking on dance, because the only Connect I know is the Xbox Connect with dance and games. But I have learned a lot since then. So Dr. Chu, if you will talk about what the inventors are doing.
Sure. Good evening. Thank you very much. This is the first year I set up this, what we call the Invention Club. So we don't have any trophies to show off. So we'd like to actually take this opportunity and introduce to the community what kind of we're up to, essentially. So I'd like to have my students, tonight I'm going to present you with kind of 3 core activities we've been focusing on. And there will be 2 will be presented by the students who actually are responsible for those projects. Just excuse me, I have to hook up on the technology over there. And
Okay, okay. Over here on my left is we're going to get ready to do the technology. We have here our STEM group, our robotics competitors. So I will let Dr. Houston and his crew explain what they have been up to this year and the competitions that they have been part of.
Hello. This is the STEM Club's second year participating in robotics. The whole idea behind the STEM Club is to get students excited in science and technology as early as possible. And the vehicle we've used for that is robotics. The club meets several times a year. We meet several times a week throughout the year and go to several competitions. And for the second year in a row, we've made states. And Eric Allenberg here is our president, and I'd like him to introduce some of our other members and tell us what we've been doing this year.
So we also have our Vice President Manoli Mutsaki, and we have our Treasurer slash Secretary Sam Lebu. So we've done several number of things this year. One of them, which was we actually went down to the middle school as well to show off our robot to a bunch of the middle school kids and kind of get them interested again into science and technology. Have them come up to the high school club as kind of junior members, we call them, so that they can start to learn a little bit about robotics, get excited about the technology. As well this year, we've actually been doing better and better. We've won 2 awards, actually, one of which is the Motivate Award, the most spirited team at one of the events, and also at the Super Qualifier, might I add, the largest one with the most amount of teams, we won the Connect Award, the team who was most reached out into their community and just kind of gotten out the word about science and technology since we've been on RDTV with with the media department, with the media club, and we've just been all around the community trying to spread the word about the STEM Club. I know my mom over here has been helping out, handing out flyers, and just so we've been trying to spread the word. And we also have Sam Lebu, who's also going to share a couple little words about what else we've been doing around with the community, design of the robot, things such as that.
Okay. How we start off our year is a kickoff event, and basically it's all the teams getting together, and we find out what our new challenge is every year. The challenge this year was bowled over, which we had a field, and it sort of was like bowling, but we had crates, racquetballs, and of course bowling balls.
One of the objectives of the game was to actually get a ball into a crate and put the crate up as high as possible, so we have this mechanism for doing that. Just kind of getting into some innovative solutions between a couple of high school kids. It's kind of interesting to see what kids can do in, again, school districts 7 through 12. You wouldn't think that a couple of high school kids would be machining metal, but we get around to it. We've also been reaching out to a couple of other different aspects of the school, again, trying to get the word out. We've done a little bit of a venture with the business club, and they've actually been helping sending out letters for us since we're trying to get a sponsor, since we have this huge box that we built to keep all of our stuff in and all this room around it, and we can put names on it.
Your message here.
Yes, exactly. Your name here, call this number. So we joined out to the business club, since again we can't do this alone. We've kind of just been trying to get as much of the high school involved into this this robotics competition as we can. Anything else? We good?
Just to wrap up, what's really great about this FTC competition is that it's not just about the robotics, it's about reaching out and spreading the word of science and technology to the younger kids. They have this particular organization has competitions all the way down to preschool. So it's really been exciting, and I look forward to watching this grow as the years go on.
Thank you. I might also add that next year, as you know, we are offering a course in robotics. So students will be learning programming, and we expect to see more and more students involved in this as the years go by. And I hope you got the connection with the business, because we're not just doing science, we're including all areas, and we have to market what we do. Dr. Chu, are we ready?
I think we're ready. Figure out the problem. My apologies. Wonderful, but it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So quickly learn. So I just want to talk about basically 3 main areas we're working on. And one of the first one I want to present is a Kinetic charger. Second one, we actually have a really far-reaching project, and we want to actually get fresh water from the sea. And the last one is the one, it's kind of the opening remark from Ms. Brooks. We're going to give you a Microsoft Connect demo, and I'll just wrap up. So I would like to get the team who's responsible for the Kinetic charger come up here. Then they will go into present their project. Okay, are you?
Hello, I'm Haein Sung, and I'm currently the president of the Invent Club. And this is
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm the secretary of the Invention Club.
basically what we have is, well, okay, first of all, to start out about our club. The purpose of our club, as when Dr. Chu started it and talked to us about it, it was to help students learn by ourselves and to learn to research and develop our own ideas. Our first project on that was actually participating in the YouTube Space Lab contest, which was an international contest. And we developed an experiment that would be carried out in space. And I mean, sorry, it's...
Oh, well, now, at first we started off at a very slow pace because not only did we have to make up our own idea on how to go at this, but also our own research development process that was really out of our comfort zone for our first year.
And that was kind of the point of the club, was to learn the research process. And we learned a lot from working on the project. We didn't win the whole contest, but we got pretty close. But from that experience, we learned how to go on with research, how to look up the information that we need. And from there on, we started our second project, which is the Kinetic charger.
Now, the Kinetic charger is basically energy that one would create from movement. Now, you see, smartphone batteries these days, they really just decharge very quickly because of what smartphones can do. And so we thought as another way to charge them to be more convenient to people who use them.
And so what you see up there are some definitions and background information. Kinetic energy is defined as the energy possessed by a body because of its motion, and electromagnetic energy is defined as the energy from a magnetic field that is produced by the motion of electric charges, which is also commonly known as electric current. A lithium-ion battery is very commonly used these days for smartphones and other kinds of phones that that need a lot of energy. It's more efficient than an alkaline battery per se because it has twice the energy capacity, and so it is used for most of the phones that we use, and it uses chemical energy to produce usable energy for the phone. And so where the charger comes in is it converts the electromagnetic energy from our outlets and converts it into chemical energy to charge the lithium-ion batteries. You know, the next slide.
All right, so our project proposal. Now, the problem is that smartphones take up so much energy during use that the batteries deplete very rapidly. Now, some people use methods as making a larger volume so that it can last longer, but at the same time, it's very bulky, inefficient, which is why we are coming up with different solutions in order to keep it more convenient. And so now our objective is how to create a system with which a battery can be recharged through motion. Our direction is to find a way to produce kinetic energy through motion that can be converted to electromagnetic energy, which in turn will charge phones by providing chemical energy.
So we first got this idea from Dr. Chu, who introduced us to the watch, which is a Kinect watch made by Seiko. Some of you might know this, but when you walk, of course, you move your arms in free motion, and so from that energy, which is a kinetic energy, the battery of the watch is able to recharge and also rewind at the same time. So it provides the user to not worry about the battery too much, and it allows the watch to last longer. So that's pretty much what we got the idea from. So our direction from here will be to find out a way to convert the electromagnetic energy from the outlets to provide kinetic energy, which will be converted into chemical energy to charge the phones in the similar way that the watches work. So that's pretty much our research so far, and we're trying to come up with an idea in which we can succeed to do that. So that is pretty much our project so far.
The second one I would like to present is actually really far-reaching one, and always I forgot the quote. It's a very famous quote. If you just aim high, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're among the stars. So this is actually a really far-reaching, and if we really can get anywhere, then that is going to be a hugely socially important impact. So I'd like to introduce Andrea Noah, and she's going to be in charge of this project.
Hi, my name is Andrea Noel, and I'm a junior here at Riverdale High School. And my role in the Invention Club is to find a way to convert salt water to fresh water. Okay, so about 70% of the Earth is made up of water, but only 2% is actually drinkable. So as clear as the ocean water may seem, you cannot actually drink it. And as you all may know, you cannot drink salt water because it dehydrates the cells in your body. And the cells in your body actually contain fresh water. So when they're put into seawater, the fresh water leaves and shrinks the cells, which is not good for you. And the only drinkable water comes from freshwater streams. And there's also an uneven distribution of water in the world. And like Dr. Chu said, like it might start a war. Like this might be the next war. Instead of war over oil, it could be war over water. Okay. Other commercial processes that have been done already include boiling the water, in which they evaporate large amounts of salt water. So then it produces vapor, and then they condense that into fresh water, leaving the salt behind. But the problem here is that it uses a lot of energy, so it's very expensive and not good for the environment. And reverse osmosis kind of filters the water and squeezes it and leaves the salt behind. But again, it uses a ton of energy and is not energy efficient. So the mangrove tree is an example of an organism that produces its own fresh water. And our goal is to simulate biological systems such as the mangrove tree because it uses solar energy, so it's much more energy and cost efficient. So we're still at the beginning stages of this project, so we're still looking into how exactly the salt is removed from this tree. But what I found so far is that there are many types of mangrove trees, and they're found in marshy areas and along shorelines. And it uses energy from the sun and uses reverse osmosis to excrete the salt through their leaves. So overall, it's a learning process, and this may or may not happen, but through research, we're going to try and find something new. Thank you.
Here goes the formal presentation, and here comes the demo, and actually it will be a fun one. Let me talk a little bit about this. At the beginning of the year, I just kind of like to follow on the science and the engineering development, and there's a flash line. It says, Microsoft just made Kinect for PC. So then I thought about that. That is very exciting news. Long story short, then I say, I got to get my hands on some of those units. And I actually wrote a grant for PTO. And very gratefully, they granted us $750. And it actually turns out, find out a deal for students to buy it is only about $150 a unit. So we just received a first unit, and here's just what we're going to show you, especially trying to demonstrate not playing the games, not for the dancing, and what we're going to really focusing on is trying to tap the potential into the education area. And if you go on to the YouTube, you start Google Connect Education, you will pull out a tremendous amount of projects people are doing. Is quite exciting. So what we're going to show you here is just a simple demo. It came with the Connect unit, and also the important things is it came with the source code. we can actually go in and actually start modifying it. And I have a team assembled here. This is Simon Kramer, David Lowe, Chris McDowell, and those are 3 key persons who are going to go look into it, how we're going to start programming and do the application for it. So for the next couple of minutes, we would like to show you actually how Kinetic works and how that, what's called the shape game, and how it's not going to tap into the education arena. So what you can have here, you can have your attention here. This is the unit for the Connect. And it actually captures the person right in front of it. So it's actually following this person's skeleton. In this very simple program, it's actually geared towards teaching elementary students shapes and colors. It actually has a voice control mechanism. You can actually tell you go fast, go slow, which shapes you're going to get. You have to follow the instructions before you can score. If I ask you to pick a triangle, you better pick a triangle. If I pick a right triangle, you better pick a right triangle. So this is just a very simple demonstration. This is how powerful this tool is. And we already have some especially interest from special services, and this is going to be consecutively linked with the classroom. So what we're looking at is actually sky's the limit. Your imagination is your limit. Is how we're going to tap this, actually modify it, get the source code, and how we can tailor it to our own classroom needs. So any questions? And it's only $150 a unit. That's the best part, especially for high school projects. So with that, actually, I'd just like to have a little bit closing remark. So with first year started this club, what my true intention of this club is I want to make it like a platform. This is a platform for students to come here to actually dream big, to actually start doing things of real impact, and a lot of practice. Just like you can see, the presentation skill comes with a lot of practice, and just have their first presentation, all of them, tonight. So this is will be, I want to have it like a platform, so they can dream, they can practice, and we go into it really, hopefully go into the science and engineering area. Well, thank you very much for your attention.
I don't know how many of you remember this, but Channel 7, Art McFarland was here and did a story about the Invention Club and the project that they were working on. And finally tonight, our academic decathlon, the group that meets every day, no matter what the weather. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Williams and his group.
Thank you. You can all hear me. First, a word about what an academic decathlon actually is. It's a scholarly competition pitting schools against each other in 10 distinct events across the curriculum. They do everything. There's the traditional academic fare, like writing essays, analyzing literature, doing calculus. I'm an English teacher. I don't even know what the verb is for calculus. Is it calculating? I don't know. But they also do more specialized areas. They listen to the music of the Romantic area and need to listen for what is distinctive about that style. They study the sculpture of the imperial times of the colonial era and need to look at the particular elements of sculpture styles. And just for good measure, they do some public speaking and some interviews and some micro and macroeconomics, just for good measure. This is a grueling competition. They start studying in September, they get their study materials, and they don't actually have their first competition until the beginning of February. So that's a couple of months of 6, 5? English teacher again. Of just research. And in order for us to stay competitive, we really need at least 5 months of straight research. We have daily meetings, 2 hours after school, and it's, as a former decathlete myself, I know how grueling the preparation can be. But I've also been happy to see these students enjoy the fruits of that labor, learning the meaning of teamwork and forging strong friendships. And in addition to the sentimental benefits, I am proud to say we also brought home tangible rewards, metallic ones of the kind easily worn around one's neck or installed in a trophy case. Our decathletes won 4th place overall and 17 individual awards at this year's regional competition, with highlights including Surya Kodeshwaran writing the best essay in our region, and Jessica Kandakar winning us a bronze medal at the state competition. So could we get a round of applause for them? I'll just introduce them for you. Our honors team, Kevin Ing, holding our 4th place trophy. A senior who we will miss dearly next year. Surya Kodeshwaran, Jay Woo. On the scholastic team, we have Anthony Lee, Alex Costes, Michael Goriello, and Scal will be here tonight, but Leandro Tavares. And on the varsity team, we have Herbert Shin, Jessica Kandakar, and Daniel Cho cannot be with us tonight. Thank you for a wonderful season.
And this is our program.
Thank you. Actually, request, if it's okay, we'd like to take a quick, 5-minute break and all too, just.
And before we do that, two more I'd like to just recognize, if I may. Bless you. Last week, the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office held their annual conference, and 4 of our students were recognized for a video that they produced. They won the 9th grade level of the Bergen County Prosecutors Don't Stand By for Bullying contest. That's Jaime Alvarez, Yasmin Kadej, Charles Young, and Taylor Palizzi. They're not here tonight, but they did a wonderful job. I think Allison talked about this last time, but it's also just good measure, because I did get a copy of the press release recently about our students that performed at Carnegie Hall with the choral director Eric Whitaker, which was quite an accomplishment for our students to be invited to participate in that. So you can see that while we didn't touch at all on athletics tonight, which I'm happy about, we were able to focus in on our academic as well as artistic accomplishments, and our students deserve, as well as their advisors, deserve great thanks on our behalf.
I guess on that note, if we'll take a 5-minute break, just so some of our board members can congratulate you guys individually as well. We'd appreciate it. So if we take a quick 5 minutes. All right. And thank you, everybody. Pete.
How do you help? Yeah. I just found out your name after 14 years.
Okay. Yeah, you still don't know my name.
Right. It's better, right? Can't tell me. You don't pay attention to me.
That's right, you don't. My daughter's invitations came to the house today. They were mailed by the company.
Did you bring one in?
I did not, because I'm not opening it. God forbid I'll get my head ripped off if I wasn't allowed to open them. So what, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I couldn't quite hear what that was saying.
Yeah. more Asian kids here tonight than I've seen ever.
If it weren't for the Asian kids, we wouldn't have a chorus, and we wouldn't have anything. Just get over it. You think I'm joking?
Oh, no.
Take a look. And did you look at the chorus? Look at them. When they walk out, everyone said to her, I said, if it weren't for these Asian kids, Lisa, you wouldn't have a job. And these kids, I think is waiting and they work, and they're interested.
And they don't cause problems?
More power to ya.
Nope. She never called. I have a theory. Either she's trying to
I've hit the gavel. I've hit the gavel to get this thing that way.
No, not for that. For something. Don't snitch.
Come on, Joe.
By the way,
They were. Yeah. Now, is it 240 because all of the weeks that we have off Well, I think part of the thing with her is she just picked up and kept copying formulas and everything that were already in existence when she came here. So she may not even be knowing what the actual formula is to be making sure that it's right. You know what I mean?
I'm wonderful. How about you? Mine still around at 12. Yeah, that's legit. That's legit. So it's about an 84. You know, if I play a tournament where you can roll the ball over, have beautiful lies and everything else, I would probably be down to about a 6. But that's, it's different. Now here I come in, I drive up to the front, come right down Michigan from the mountains. So I go the way I normally go into the gym, there's no swipe bar for me to get in. Now I'm hunting around for a place that has a swipe bar, so I found one. Yeah, I figured where all the cars were. That wasn't receiving though. I came in one of the wings. It beeped. That's all I cared. I got in. I got in. Okay.
Chit chat and everything.
Now, can keto it goes. I mean, he's got to go through the process. Obviously.
Is it because of the policy that we have in place?
Yeah, he couldn't be on the board.
But I mean, it's a Riverdale policy.
Well, it's not, initially it was a Riverdale policy, now it's a state policy, state law. Okay? For
Really?
nepotism.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe that's why that guy's not on the board and you don't fit anymore.
All gone? Is it all gone? Oh.
Demerits. Getting demerits done.
The kids, no, listen, no. Listen, it's the one or two things you enjoy coming here for. Yeah.
I can eat the cake. You like the brown and whites. I know you like the brown and whites.
You're right. That's right. That's good, too bad.
Oh, twist his arm. Ow,
Yeah.
ow, ow.
Well, that took a lot, didn't it? Let's move this thing along.
I'm trying. I wanted to back the gavel.
Yeah, listen.
But,
I mean, for office. Because I think that you would be out of here in 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I keep everybody. I have my stopwatch
Yeah, no.
going. Your 3 minutes are up.
And then you go, Tommy, let's go, move it on. Okay, stop.
Joe, I was going to bang the gavel 5 minutes ago. Claudia said I can't touch it. Can't touch it.
We're healthy and everything now. We got pears over there.
Folks, if we could, we'd like to get
Mr. Trainer. This isn't even on. Hey, folks.
They're taking your voice away.
Folks, we'd like to get started again. Please. You guys are going to make me sing. They turned them off. They knew they was going to threaten.
Turn the switch on.
It is on. Everybody's welcome to stay if you'd like.
But if you stay, you have to stay to the end.
That's when all the good stuff happens. It's off.
You want this one?
Hey, it's like a boomerang. All right. All right, folks. If we could get back after our short break, thank you very much. Continue back at 8:49. I guess President's Report. I just really don't have much to report, just make a couple of comments. One of the things that I did see is from the STEM Club. I was at one of their events, which is kind of nice, is actually what they do is they're competing with other teams, yet they help one another. They try to find, if one of the other teams is having a problem, they try to help one another, which is really good. The other thing that I guess wanted to comment on is that it is a community where we have middle school teachers coming up with clubs in the high school. And I guess on a personal note, it was really kind of nice that the STEM Club, and I've seen it on RDTV too, is where the high school kids come down to the middle school and kind of introduce them to some of the stuff that's up here. And I guess, you get last comment, fellas, I kind of wish I was going back to high school because there's a lot of really cool stuff here between, the scientific stuff, the TV, the arts, a lot of stuff that, back in the day, really didn't have, so it's great. So that really concludes my commentary more than a report.
Student member report.
Oh, I skipped right past you guys. That means I get a retake then. So, Allison, Bridget, I'm sorry.
Okay, so since the last meeting, the French National Honor Society got the exchange with high school students from Guadeloupe, approved. And we received letters from the people that are going to be involved in the exchange, and they wrote it in English. And it's always just cool to, like, as a language student, see someone that's learning your language writing letters, because they're like little nuances that, like, you can, I don't know, it was just really cool. And they were telling us about their lives there, and it was really cool to read. And the French National Honor Society will be having their induction on May 31st. It was originally going to be another date, but there was a conflict, so it will be on May 31st if you'd like to come. The China Musical Honor Society last Tuesday had a successful completion of our fundraiser, Songs of Love. John Beltzer, who's with the Songs of Love Foundation, came and he helped us record over the chorus for a song that we wrote for our own Paul Kennedy. He's been sick for a while, and we decided to do one that get a song for someone that we actually knew. And I heard from his sister that he really loved it, and it really meant a lot to him. And it was really cool to be able to, like, record on a CD. So that was awesome. Mr. Fletcher mentioned before that we performed with Eric Whitaker, and I was one of the people, 20 students, and Ms. Smith sang too, that was lucky enough to participate in that, and it was amazing. Yeah, we've been performing Eric Whitaker's music for a very long time with Ms. Smith, and just to sing his music, we sang 10 songs, and we learned it essentially in a month. We had the music for longer, but we learned it in a month. And just to have him conducting his own music was amazing. The seniors just had their last chance dance on April 19th, and we got to take these compatibility tests, and we got a printout of, like, all of our matches and, like, who we shouldn't date and who we should date and who should be your best friend. And it was just funny because some of them were accurate, but a lot of them weren't. But those are computers, so the AP tests are going to be from May 7th to May 16th, and it's getting down to the wire. I know a lot of, like, with the AP studio art, people are rushing to finish their paintings, and I'm taking AP photography, so we have to get our portfolios together. Well, plus the fact that, like, we have to, other classes, like Euro, we have to study, what is it, like?
Everything.
Yeah, it's essentially.
All of European history.
Yeah. Calculus, like, who even knows how to do calculus anyway? So, I mean, that's going to be interesting, but we're all going to be very prepared. And the day after AP tests, senior service will begin. Everyone's been going to their meetings trying to secure what they're going to do. I know, if people don't know, seniors that have a GPA of a 90 or above can choose to essentially graduate early. They get out of their finals unless if it's a SUPA course, and they get to go out and do community service in the area. As long as they do 25 hours a week, they don't have to come to school, which is awesome. The spring yeah. The spring concert is on May 24th at 7:30 p.m. in our lovely auditorium. Same business as usual, but it's going to be great, and I know the Slut Choir is singing some of the Eric Whitaker songs that we sang with he himself. So it was awesome. And solo auditions ended today, so we don't know who the soloists are, but there are going to be solos. So yay. And then this Friday, on a not school-related, but yes, school-related, Girl Scout Troop 1340 is going to have a Gold Award ceremony for, I happen to be one of them, but Ellie Florio, Lexi Medina, and myself received our Gold Award. So we're going to have a ceremony this Friday at the Newbridge Center recreational room. I don't know what it's called. Project room. It's the project room. So yes. And I. Thank you.
Okay. I have a few more school events to report on, and then I'm going to report about sports. So fourth quarter started recently. Oh, in addition, on senior service, you can also volunteer in the school. For example, me and a few other students are going to be volunteering both with Mrs. Jacobus and at the middle schools and the elementary schools. because we like don't have transportation or we prefer to do it with science in the school, so it's also in school. New Jersey Chemistry Olympics, our research papers and all sorts of events are due on Wednesday, so we're finishing up with that. I actually know right now they're working in room 308 to sort of finish up the papers, which is cool. The Redellion's second issue will be coming out soon, so you should pick that up. Spanish National Honor Society has been holding a flower sale. College decisions came out recently, and so all the seniors are thinking about that. The freshman formal will be on May 18th. They announced that, which is pretty exciting for them. It's their first high school formal dance, which is very exciting for them. I remember mine. I can't believe that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And on to sports. So baseball, they've had 9 consecutive wins, which is pretty amazing. It's got to be a record or something.
Make it 10.
10?
They won again today.
My goodness.
Yeah, we were working on yesterday's email.
Yeah. And so they're actually ranked number 8 by the record. Boys lacrosse, they had a home game today versus Paramus Catholic, which is pretty cool.
And their record is 5-2, or I don't know if they won today or not.
1-5.
You know, actually, if we were smart, we would follow Riverdale Hawks on Twitter, and we would get live updates from all of the sporting events.
Just what I need. Additionally, softball defeated Mawa, and I believe their current score is 6-2. The track team, both boys and girls, hosted the Jack Yockers County Relays. And they received a number of awards in that, which is pretty amazing. And so our sports are bustling along as normal.
Oh, and a few more things. People went to Spain over spring break, which is awesome. And like they saw a bullfight, and they were there during the running of the bulls. They weren't actually at the running of the bulls because that would be terrifying, but they went. And also peer leaders got into their rounds of second interviews. I'm not sure exactly where they are in that, but it's always exciting to like know about the new peer leaders for next year. So, yeah.
And that's the student report.
If I could add one thing, since I already did my report, but it was actually nice to hear from some people on Saturday that who came here for that track meet, heard afterwards. I know Tom has mentioned before the Fields of Excellence, but a couple people commented on too, just what lovely facilities we have here. And all too, just, you know, not just the track down there, but everything else around, how it just looks great. So, again, hats off to
Yeah, guys do a nice
John.
job.
So,
Also on that note, you know, the athletic department for making sure that baseball was moved to a different site for the safety of the kids running the track. So I think that that's important as well, to note that Dennis Nelson moved the baseball team for that day down to KPG to play, just so that the foul balls would not interfere with the track meet.
Mr. Fletcher.
I am going to defer. I don't have anything further to add.
Defer to who?
To the committee reports.
Okay. Budget and Finance. Okay, campus facilities.
I did receive a set of dates from Tom today, which I will distribute to my committee member. They would set monthly meetings starting next month through December of this year.
Community Relations.
Again, just thanking Ms. Brooks and Patrick for the great display of the student awards today, and hope that they continue to do that. We did not have a meeting, so we don't have a report.
Personnel, there's nothing right now. Policy and Governance.
No new meetings since last time we reported, but there are a lot of policies on this agenda, but we'd spoken about them last meeting.
Technology.
No meeting since the last.
I know you had a meeting, I was there.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, people, we can't move on that quickly. We met on April 18th, and we discussed a few different items. We discussed the freshman physics training that's going to go on, the summer work that's going to go on. When we looked at the curriculum, we had budgeted for 4 teachers to go, the 4 primary teachers who were being slated to be used in the freshman physics program. And the special education department, along with Mrs. Capodanno, is asking that we include a 5th teacher in the off-site training, a special education teacher. Everyone is under the agreement that it's really going to benefit a variety of kids for a special education person to be able to go to that off-site training. They are also planned in July after that to come back and work on the lesson plans and the assessments once we have decided that we are going forward in September with the program. At the time that we met, that decision was not finalized. And then we also discussed science, the 7th, 8th grade curriculum. All of the curriculum has already been developed and the materials have ordered, and with the materials came free staff development by the company. So that will be orchestrated. And then over the summer, there are going to be creating the assessments and the lesson plans, and they're going to do that across 6, 7, and 8 together, so that it helps with the transition and the vertical articulation. Excuse me. Under the initiatives that they are trying to work on at the middle school and the high school is having common writing rubrics across all content areas, so that when you're using similar language, even in your health class to your English class, when the teacher says to you it wasn't substantive enough, or it didn't, what was another adjective they used, Paul? I'm sorry. It wasn't critical in your analysis or anything, that it means the same thing in each subject area, that the language that the students are getting feedback from are the same across all content areas. So they're working on coming up with rubrics and assessments using a prompt every year across all of the content areas. And another area in which they feel that more professional development needs to be added is in reading and purposeful reading and of the content and the materials, especially at the high school level. There's a lot of professional development when you go K-6, and there's a limited amount 7-8. There isn't a lot of professional development that exists for staff at the high school level. Syracuse, however, does have a program, and so the tri-district has asked them for a proposal, and once we have that material, it'll come back out forth through the committee. But that's just an initiative that the curriculum would like to work on. We also discussed all of the transition teams and vertical articulation teams. These are initiatives that have been started to try and make the jump from 6 to 7, or even 6, 7, 8, and then also 8, 9. So there are different transition teams. There's an English, the ELA, from 6, 7, 8, and they've already started, and we're working with Northern Valley on that. And then there's a math transition team that Jen works with from 6 to 7. There is a Riverdale vertical articulation team that's underway from 8 to 9, so that everybody is sort of on the same page. When the students are leaving 8th grade, this is what the 9th grade teachers, that's the expectation they have of this knowledge or this base or these skills. And the same thing is also going on with social studies all the way, basically 7, 8, 9, and even into 10. So that the social studies teachers felt like in some areas there was repetition and overlap, and in other areas maybe they were not sure if the students were getting the material when they needed it to build on for the next. So they're looking at how that's all transitioning and working together to make sure that one is building upon the other, and that they're clear on the expectations from one year to the other. Let me think what else is on here. Also in the papers that you got, you will see something that says financial literacy. New Jersey has a financial literacy requirement for all graduates as of the year 2014. So what Mrs. Capodanno did is she went through what are the standards and went through our curriculum to see where we had classes that met those standards. Money management meets all the standards, but we don't want to just have one course for the students that everyone has to take. That could be sort of a scheduling nightmare. At the moment it's not so bad because we're working our way up into it, but come 4 years from now, it could be a little bit of a problem. So Ms. Brooks is speaking to the SUPA people because SUPA accounting meets a lot of the marks, but not all of them. So she's looking to see if there's a way that we could work together to be able to meet all of the requirements. And at the same time, I believe perhaps next year there might be a proposal for another class out of the business department that would meet the requirements as well. So students would have more choices and the schedule would be more flexible. But I just wanted you to have what we have to understand what that was all about. We also talked a little bit about the concept of having permanent, not a lot, perhaps 4, maybe 5, permanent substitutes in the building as a concept of being able to perhaps have more continuity in certain subject areas, such as math or language arts, because they would be a member of the staff, they would have more rapport with staff members, they would be here working all the time, and it might be something that could help with concerns that the curriculum isn't moving forward if a substitute's in the class.
That's a question. I thought substitutes couldn't work more than 20 days in a row or something. Am I wrong,
Well,
Patrick?
we're calling it a full-time, they would be a staff member that would be.
So they wouldn't really be a substitute teacher?
Full-time floater, if you will.
Full-time
Right,
staff,
correct.
okay.
They would
All
be
right, that's
full-time
fine. I just-
staff with their main purpose to be
Oh, sure.
coverage in certain subject areas. So that's an idea that we were just kind of talking about. We didn't make any resolution or any recommendation or anything. Another idea that we were talking about was the Magna Awards. If you were able to look at that literature that we get so many magazines, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that looks really good, and then after it sits on my floor for 3 weeks, I'm like, oh, I can't read that. But I did happen to read those, and I had seen it in other places. There are some schools who have instituted the concept of a freshman academy. And so we talked about what might be the pros and cons of that. Patrick had talked about many years ago they had done a small piloted program here. And so we were just talking about if that was, something we wanted to further discuss or explore. Not all members who were there had read it and were kind of able to have a discussion. So I'm sure we'll discuss it again. We went over the final exam schedule, which you have. Our tri-district meeting was supposed to be for the 19th. One or both of the elementary districts needed to move it, so it is now May 8th. And we also discussed, and I left it to the end in case you wanted to add on. It was brought up by a member of the committee that Riverdale weights its honors and AP classes very low as compared to other districts. And the committee member felt like it was in some instances putting our kids at a disadvantage when they were in the college application process. And since Paul is here, if he would like to speak more to it, I certainly would defer to him.
Really, that's basically it, and I think we need to get in par with some of the other schools like Ridgewood, Northern Highlands, the Northern Valley, Demarest, and Old Japan, where a child can have a maximum of a GPA of a 5, where we're not there. So I have some data. I'm not going to give it out because I want to give it to Patrick so he can confirm my numbers before everybody can get the information I have, so that we're all on the same page. There's a lot of data that's on here. It has honors, APs. It talks about the number of credits minimum per year. So there's a lot of other information on this that I'd like to share with everybody. But again, I don't think it's right for me to really go down the details until Patrick has a chance to confirm that the data that I have is accurate, and Patrick can look at it first. So yes, would I like us to give more than 3 points for the honors classes? Yes, because that's what we give right now, and the other schools that I'm looking at give anywhere from 5 to 7.5, other than Glen Rock, for the honors classes. So, thank you.
And we do not have another meeting date on the books, although we were given a list. We haven't gotten to consensus of that, but I'm sure we will discuss that as well at our next meeting. That's it.
Okay. That brings us to our consent agenda. Can I have a motion on the consent? Roger?
Second.
Seconded by Claudia. Any discussion on the consent? Sorry.
Just
Don?
one quick thing, Jed. On the minutes for, it says here the 23rd, but I think it's really the 26th. Does anybody remember this? I was reading these over late in the day, and I sent a quick email to Lisa, but she probably didn't get it in time. I thought we had put forth a motion from the floor to maybe change and add a meeting in August, but it didn't pass. And that's missing in the minutes. And was it an actual motion, or was it just a straw poll?
It was withdrawn, I thought. It was, motion was made, but was withdrawn, so I don't know.
Didn't we vote on it because no one could make it, or it was?
Yeah.
It was withdrawn? Okay, then that's fine.
Now, is that supposed to be the minutes of the 26th?
Yeah. Yeah. But-
So are we changing that, or
So that,
yes.
so that should be added,
changed?
What should be added?
that the motion was withdrawn?
No,
Oh. The date is wrong,
The
yeah.
date is wrong, it's on the 26th, but if a motion was made withdrawn, it's not really part of.
Okay, oh, all right, okay, I got it clear, okay, thank you.
Any other on the consent? Tom, please.
Roger?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Claudia?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes to all except for 8A1, abstention, and also an abstention on 8A2.
Michael?
Yes, with the understanding that it's March 26th, the minutes.
Peter?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes. And forgive me as I'm going down here. I believe the next item is item 10.1. It is recommended, excuse me, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the second reading of the following policies, which come from the 1330, 1314, 3100, 3541.1, 5141.23, 6141.3, 6146, and 6146.2, 9111, 9123 and 24, 9125, 9270, and 9322.1.
So moved.
Thank you. Just make sure we got them all in there.
Who's second?
Second was Paul. And actually, any discussion on these items?
From the board, yeah.
From the board, Dot?
Just one question, I don't know if this is a point of concern or not. We talked a lot when this was in the policy committee about online courses, which is file code 6141.3, and when these courses would be acceptable and not acceptable. And I was just wondering if we've had any requests at this point for a student to take a summer class online, and whether or not they would be allowed to count that type of a program. So say someone needed an extra math class in order to get calculus in as a senior. Have we had any requests along that line? Because I don't believe this allows someone to do it, or does it? The way I'm reading it, it doesn't.
Well, I think it does allow it.
Oh, it does? Okay, I wasn't sure because it said not permitted, if it's, on Part B, it says the student is not permitted to take an online course in place of those offered by the Riverdale District unless the course does not fit in their schedule. And then it says C is for enrichment only. I just wanted to be clear on that, because I remember we discussed some aspects of that, but then when I was reading it at home this afternoon, I said, I don't know if this allows for this or not. So if we're all in agreement that it allows for a summer
Well,
class.
we do it now.
Yeah.
We do it now.
You do allow that? Okay, then that's fine, then there's no change.
Okay, before we vote on it too, are there any comments from the public? Because it is a second reading on policies, so the public has an opportunity to discuss these as well, or comment, I should say. And seeing as there are none, sure, Tim? No? All right. Roll call?
Roger?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Claudia?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Dot?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Vito?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes.
Call Mr. Hartenstein, see if he has a comment.
Is that?
I'm a little concerned, I am
Yeah,
too.
I actually am too, I just said.
Yeah, read on I commented, so. May I have a motion, excuse me, a motion on item number 10.2. It's recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the following policy regulations and exhibits 1330A and 1330E.
So moved.
Patty, second? Second. Dot? Comments, discussion on item number 10.2? Dot?
I just saw the rate schedule this evening. I hadn't seen it prior to today. And just a little concern, I brought this up in the past. We tend not to change our rate schedule from year to year. This is pretty much the same rate schedule that we had in 2010, 2011, 2 years ago. And maybe for the private enterprises, we could go up 2%. You know, maybe not the nonprofit groups, and especially not a nonprofit group that's from Oradell or River Edge. But I think our costs are going up, and maybe we could just go up a little bit on some of these rates. And I'd like to open that up for board discussion.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it that way, but I think Dot has really hit something. We seem to generally approve increases for many things and many job descriptions and stuff at 2% and 2.5% and 3%. And if we're increasing what we're giving out, maybe we should also be increasing what we take in for some of these facilities. I'm not talking about the nonprofit, I'm talking about the private enterprise. And maybe it would be helpful to understand what's the difference between a private enterprise and a nonprofit by way of example. Maybe the private really are things that we should be supporting anyway. Patrick, is there a distinction to be made between those two?
I'll defer to Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
Schools, but for nonprofit, it's essentially nonprofit is the groups that
501c3.
use the facility the most.
Sure. And the private enterprises are ones that the SAT prep for Lents and Lents, things along those lines.
No, SAT prep, do they charge our students?
Yes, they do. They charge students.
Okay, they charge our students, and we charge them for the space. So, I would say, yes, I'd like to raise them, because they're actually making a profit out of this.
Well,
But they give our students a discount.
That's right.
Part of it.
And it's also more convenient for our kids to come here than it is to go somewhere else.
right. So at this point in time, the concept that you're throwing out there is correct, that maybe we should look at raising the rates. I don't agree with it because of the amount of more nonprofits use our facility than profits use. Okay? And therefore, we don't have too many people using our football field with the lights, a nonprofit, a profit. Okay? Things along those lines. The majority of folks who use our facilities are nonprofits.
I mean, I don't want to raise them.
I agree with you.
I'm talking about the profits.
And we don't have many of those come forward to us.
So we won't have many complaints. And we haven't attracted any, you said they're not many. Have they increased in the last year or so?
It's been pretty flat for the past several years. That's
Maybe
why I haven't
maybe we should try raising a little and see if it goes down. If it goes down, we could always lower it. I mean, we
it's
seem
your
to
call.
be.
Well, that's it. There's
I made my
two
point.
trains of thought on that. If we lower the prices, we might get more people to use the facilities, and we might make more money that way than upping it and having less people use it.
Right.
So again, I
We really want
understand.
people using the facility.
Well, those,
Exactly.
those,
I think I could agree with that, yeah.
well, but
the
those
question
are
is-
the decisions,
right.
you know, if we're gonna raise it, then raise it, if that's our thought process.
There's two schools of thought to that, too. We have folks who use our facilities, which gives us positive press, okay? So we have the flexibility of what we charge because of what the outcome is for when they do use our facilities, okay? Not many, but there's a positive and negative to both. Okay?
But, you know, additional use is wear and tear. You know, if somebody wants to use our fields, you know, especially the turf, that's wear and tear on the fields, or wear and tear on the gym floor,
etc.
Mhm.
But as a revenue component, you know what? Maybe there is an argument to lowering it so more people will use it.
Right.
If our goal is to drive revenue.
Right.
Sorry. How much do they charge for the SAT prep to students? I mean, we're talking about $500, I assume $525 for the auditorium or something?
No, they use classrooms.
They use classrooms, okay. But how much do they charge our students for SAT prep? Hundreds of dollars or?
I don't know.
It's in
Usually like,
What?
yeah,
It's
it's
not
like,
like Princeton Review that's in the thousands.
like 500 maybe?
So it's 500?
My son took it and I can't remember how much it was.
And we're talking about
Couple hundred.
a
Couple hundred.
classroom of $165 right now, and they may have a couple students, or 10 or 20 students in the classroom. 20 children in the classroom, and we're charging them $165 for the classroom. They're making a lot.
I don't think they're charging.
May I make a suggestion? I mean, we're talking
Let's move it
tremendous amounts
until we
here.
get some other information.
May I make a suggestion?
Wait, I'd like to hear from Mr. Fletcher.
I mean, we're talking de minimis amounts here. The auditorium would be $535, the gym would be $535, the
not
cafeteria
much
would be $280. So, I mean, we're talking about adding $5 or $10 to these items here, so I'm not sure it's gonna have a major effect one way or the other, but
When's the last time we raised these rates, Tom? I think it's been years. And-
But
and our
what I'm
costs are
saying
going
is
up.
just to add
How
the
much you wanna
$5 to it.
Add the $5 or $10.
Add the 5 or 10,
Well, either
yeah.
somebody make a motion or not.
2%, yeah.
Well, don't go 2%, just give it an amount.
Right now, the motion's on the policy, the discussion
It's
is
just
to.
discussion on the amounts, there's not a motion on any of the amounts. The motion on the table is as it is
Right.
That's what I'm
reflected.
saying.
So.
But we can make a motion to.
Yes, we can. Someone can make a motion to adjust this as it's stated, and in a second, and we would vote on that. Michael?
I'd like to make a motion to increase the private enterprise rate schedule by $10 per item.
Okay.
Do I have a
Does
second?
this reflect
Second.
an increase, or is this is flat
Flat.
for the last 3 years?
2,
I
3
think?
years, yeah.
Second.
Plus $10 on each one. So you're talking the stadium lights at $75, I think at $85 an hour then?
Yes.
Because that's a much bigger increase than anything else.
Oh, that's,
Because that's a per hour.
oh, that's per hour.
Yeah, that's per hour. I wouldn't touch that.
$5.
Patrick, in the last.
Well, we're dilly-dallying around with this now.
Yeah.
With, what are we doing?
Tom, I want to make sure that,
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
so, all right,
I'll change, to make it a little more equitable, I'd like to change what I said to $10 for all the flat rates and $5 for the hourly rate.
Patrick, you may not know the answer to this question, but in the last year, how many times have we had a full boat paying entity pay us?
3, 4 times?
Yeah, if that.
I mean, my gut's saying, keep it the way it is.
but you know what, there's a motion on the table now to make those changes, so we have to vote on those changes. So is there any other discussion on the increase of $10 on the flat rates and an increase of $5 additional on the hourly? For private enterprise only. Tom, can I get a roll call on that?
Roger?
Sure,
I'm sorry, say yes.
yes.
Stephanie?
No.
Patty?
Yes.
Claudia?
No.
Paul?
Yes.
Dot?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Vito?
Yes, and if I may, on a going forward basis, perhaps with the September or October meeting of campus facilities, I will make this an agenda item so they can be properly vetted and reviewed. And then we'll make the recommendations to the board and follow set procedures. But for now, I vote yes on it.
And Joe?
Yes, so.
Now we have to vote on the motion, right?
Yeah, now we have to vote. on the
Since this was revised, let me make sure, is everybody in agreement that we don't vote on the original?
No,
You amended the original.
We amended the original by having that, so,
I think we do have.
so
Do we have to
now,
vote?
now we've.
Well, vote on the amended.
Time out, we voted to have an amendment, and now we have to vote on the actual agenda item with the amended numbers.
Correct, okay, yes.
So, any discussion items on that?
I'm just gonna make one comment. While I support this and I supported the increase, I could feasibly make an argument that we could lower this significantly
Sure.
as a revenue generator.
Sure.
So I think that's something that maybe facilities should look at, because the real question is, how many requests have we had that once we've provided rates, don't turn into revenue? And I don't even know if we have an answer to that question.
And following up on that, maybe by September, October, we will see if the number of participants from the private sector has increased or decreased or remained the same. We'll have 6 months.
You know, I think facilities, that committee needs to assess
They need to
whether or
look at
not
it.
we're trying to
And
create
Vito said he
revenue on
would.
it, or we're trying to discourage revenue on it.
Right.
No,
We'd
that's
also
why it
want to
needs
look
to
at
be
comparative
properly-
rates.
Right, perfect, that's it.
So Tom, can I get a roll call now on item 10-2 as amended with the price changes, please?
Roger,
Yes.
Stephanie,
No.
Patty,
Yes.
Claudia,
No.
Paul,
Yes.
Dot,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Vito,
Yes.
and Joe.
Yes. I have a motion now on, excuse me, on item number 11. 8, the superintendent, at the request of the board secretary, recommends that the board accept line item transfers and the adjustments as listed in the financial report in the month ending March 2012.
I make a motion.
Claudia, second.
Second.
Paul? Discussion on this item?
So when?
Elena, Tom?
Yeah, I want to bring something to everyone's attention, and that has to do with the line item for healthcare and the number of line item transfers that are coming out of that particular field. Right now, if you look at the board secretary's report, after all the encumbrances for this year are met, the available balance will be somewhere about $37,000, $38,000. And the reason I want to bring this to everyone's attention is that for this current year, the year that we're right now in, when the budget was passed a year ago, that was the one line item that we went in excess of the 2% cap for. And we went in excess of $145,000, and I think it's $938. And my concern is if we took that money from the taxpayers for a very specific need, in the event that we needed it for healthcare, I'd like to see us make sure that we spend that money on healthcare, or that we set it aside maybe for a reserve, or actually to give back to the taxpayers. I don't think that money should be being used, and right now, if all these line items are approved, we won't have that $145,000 to put aside come June. And I believe, if I understand it correctly, Tom, that's the time when this board can make a decision what to do with that money. But the real crux of the matter is, we took the money from the taxpayers for a particular reason, and now if these line items pass, there's no way to tell if that money will be available to set aside for whatever we feel the real value is. And this is a new situation for us, because last year was the first year we had the 2% cap, but we exceeded the cap for that one purpose only. And I don't personally believe we should be spending it until we decide how best to use that money. We asked for additional funds from our taxpayers. They look to us to be responsible with that money, and I can't support this.
Any other comments on item number 11-8?
Tom, we had asked that for items of more than $50,000 per line item transfer, that you would inform us a little more detail, and you did in a separate document. I would just like to ask that in the future that document be part of the agenda items, the attachments, so because I'm trying to locate it right now, I can't locate it, and I believe one of them was from the healthcare line for $100 and something thousand.
Yeah, it went to the new science rooms that we're having in middle school.
Okay.
Also, can we look into, maybe the finance committee can look into modifying this going forward, but can that $50,000 be for cumulative transfers within the same month? For example, for this month alone, we're transferring $263,000 out of that healthcare line item. That's a lot. And I think there should have been more information on that. Yes, one of the items was defined because it was in and of itself 105,000, but in total, there was an awful lot of transfers, and matter of fact, we've got 17 pages of transfers here, and some of them are significant, and I would like to think when they accumulate in any one particular box, that they be defined as well if it gets over $50,000.
Budget committee can take that under advisement.
Okay. Else?
Tom, roll call on item number 11A, please.
Roger?
Yes, but I do have one comment, and I should have said it before, I was kind of, trying to make the last comment. I responded back to Tom when Tom sent it out, and, you know, my request was, I don't know if this was an anomaly this year or what it may have been, but I did have a request that we try to look at trying to allocate some of those dollars to any capital we can take off the budget. And because it might help 2012-13 if we could do some of that.
Absolutely.
So.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Claudia?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Dot?
Obviously, I've stated my concerns about this line item. This line item is becoming a line of credit for this district. I say no, we have to do a better job with this.
Michael?
Yes.
Vito?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes, sorry, making sure I keep track of what I got here. I have a motion on item number 11, Roman number 11, 18, as stated, which is the bid for the renovations in the LLD classroom project. I have a motion.
I'll move.
Michael moved, second.
Second.
All right. Discussion on item number 11, 18. Roger?
What do we think this should come in at?
About $1.25.
So there's a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
We should
From
say
12
what we-
to 30.
And then follow-up is, historically, when we rebid things, do we get to where we want to be?
I'm going to give you, I'm sorry, not an answer you want to hear. It depends. There are some bathroom projects that are done that way because it came in too high. It came in much lower depending on when we rebid it out, summer versus winter.
Yeah.
Okay? So yes, that time it did. There was also the science project that we just did came down about $30,000.
But our backs are against the wall, we need those classrooms in September.
The singular classroom, yes. But this one should come down to about 125, 135.
Okay.
Okay?
Tom, what will the timeline be on this if it does go out to bid? Because you're coming kind of close to the end of this fiscal year. Would the funds to provide for this come out of this year's budget or next year's budget?
This year's budget.
This time, roll call on item number 11, 18.
Roger?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Claudia?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Dot?
Abstain.
Michael?
Yes.
Vito?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes. So it brings us under item 12, Roman number 12. It's more for board information also than for the public, is that the schools will be closed on May 25th, 29th, and 30th of 2012. There are 3 unused snow emergency days because we had a very mild winter. And those days, the calendar was approved on July 25th, 2011 for the 11-12 school year. So those days, the schools will be closed. Any of the schools will be closed, or just students? Patrick, just for clarification.
There's, just like any quote-unquote vacation period, our schools are not closed. There'll be sports activities here, there'll be, plenty of opportunities here, but this is, the students are not required to be here and staff are not required to be here.
Okay. Brings us to item 13.
Oh, sorry. Are we voting on that one?
No, that's
I
just
believe this is
information.
information, for board information only.
Oh, okay. I got a comment about that.
Okay.
Do you think that if over 60 years, we can bank 3 of those a day, like a teacher contract, we can have a year of no school?
We get an extra board meeting.
I know it says it on the council, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
He nodded, so I started. I know it says it on the calendar. Are we gonna send out, because although it's on the calendar, it's
I
in
intended.
minuscule print.
I intend to do a global email blast and update our websites.
Okay.
Not only this, but regarding the half-day schedule that I also wrote to you about, that'll be sending that all out.
And this comes our conglomerate of discussion, old and new, if anybody has anything, because I know we kind of tend to not break it out, so. Do you have anything, Michael?
I know that you assigned it to facilities and stuff, but I had mentioned the last meeting, I guess Tom, I had mentioned last meeting about this object of art that we have behind us.
The television, yes.
Okay, this I think it's worked one time, and I.
Oh, it works.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we, if possible, and it doesn't cost extra, make it so that when they use that projector that operates on that, it also electrically feeds that,
The only
so
problem
people don't have to move. No, you can see, but you
No,
can see
can I
it.
just comment that, I'm not concerned about that. It's
But the
people
audience
that-
can see it too.
But with the
Makes it
people in
easier
the
for them.
audience, you know what, I know if I sat there, I couldn't see anything on that
No, no,
screen,
no.
that's just my own, but.
Yeah, but it's not taken away from them because they still have this. I'm saying it's gonna be both places.
All right, if they could physically do
Michael, I don't
it.
think you need to make a motion. What we'll do is we'll try and get the IT people to coordinate.
If you can acquire it, fine.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't cost anything, and if they can do it, I'd appreciate it, because then, you know,
Essentially, you want to simulcast it in two places.
I want simulcast, that's the exact term I was looking for. Thank you.
OTV? Stephanie?
We approved this evening what sounds like a great trip to Peru. But I wanted to say that I was reading recently that Machu Picchu is kind of an endangered site. It's an endangered site. So I would just ask that perhaps the people planning the trip could maybe come up with some sort of, fundraiser or something so that after they've enjoyed the endangered site, they could also contribute to its conservation. So that would be the only thing I would have to say. But Peru's main thing is tourism, so please go, but, before it crumbles, let's try and.
Can I make a comment too? This is why I probably should have been part of my board discussion, our president's report. But for board discussion, it's more of a commentary too, is I believe it's tomorrow night, the PTO with some staff here is about the tutors versus non-tutors and things of that nature. I think if anybody from the board can make it, because it has been something discussed here, I think it'd be a good idea, maybe not necessarily to comment on it, but just kind of pull in some information. I think it'd be great if anybody can attend. I'm going to try to.
If I may, I think there's a whole misunderstanding about what the PTO is trying to do. They're talking, I think they're using a good marketing ploy to attract people to come here, but my understanding of the focus of that discussion is whether or not students should be engaged in some activity during the summertime coming up, not necessarily employing a tutor in the constant way that we refer to tutors. So I think that it's a little bit of a marketing issue that they're attracting people to it, but my discussions with them is it's more, should there be some enrichment or other type of activity that takes place during the summertime?
Then maybe I can rephrase it then too, I know I've gone to a couple of them, and I don't think we need a formal resolution for this, but if somebody, each of their meetings, because, we don't have a lot, Mr. Ornstein's not here tonight, he usually is. If somebody could possibly go to each of those PTO meetings to kind of get a pulse of what's out, people are talking about, I just think it'd be a good idea. It's not something mandatory, but if people can attend, it just, we talk of forums, different ways of doing it. Well, I've been to a couple of them, and they get a lot of people here. So I think it's informative.
Everyone should understand that the panel is Ms. Brooks and Mr. Principe from the guidance department. That's the panel of the people who are here for tomorrow night. For tomorrow night, yeah.
Not all, yeah, but you may hear something from parents or people in the public that may
Sure.
give some information to, ladies first.
Is this related to this? or-
No, mine's separate.
I just wanted to follow up. I wanted to thank Patrick for giving us some recommendations here regarding the new programs coming down from the state in terms of teacher evaluations. And I guess I wanted to ask a little bit more of a question about this, but maybe you might want to summarize it first, Patrick. My questions go to how many how many teachers do we have between the two schools? And if we were to apply as a district, what is the grant amount that we would have qualified for if we go forward with something like this?
Well, Riverdale has 103 teachers. So if we went with the other districts, it would be close to 300 teaching staff members. Yeah, so it'd be close to 300 between the three districts. Pardon? It might be 143, but regardless of it, it's close to 300 if all three come together. I think the consortium amount is about $72,000. I don't have the chart in front of me. There is a chart that comes with it.
I thought actually the district would run in the 70,000. The reason I'm bringing this up is just my concern that, it's always a tight economy when we're looking at how to spend money for the betterment of the students. And here's a grant opportunity that I know there's some pros and cons, and I'm reading them here. I'd like to maybe just ask you to present some of them, and really, what would be the advantage or disadvantage from looking at this as a consortium?
Well, I already told you what I think the largest disadvantage is in that memo that's there, but I think the other two disadvantages are that we don't have the staff to do this. I mean, they're talking about having 5 evaluations for each non-tenured personnel and 4 for tenure. Just simply taking that and multiplying it by the number of people, I think it's unrealistic to think that you have enough supervisory staff to do that. 2, that's number 2. Number 3, if you go to a consortium, you have to invite the non-public school districts to participate in this process or not. And between the 3 districts, that's 4 non-public schools. The Yeshiva, St. Joe, St. Pat's, and St. Peter's and Bergen Catholic. So, honestly, I know this is an oversimplification of it, but I don't believe this process is moving smoothly. I think the State Department of Education is acting as if they're changing the tire on a Formula One racer while we're in the middle of the race. And I don't think that we have. I don't think this is going to move forward in any realistic way. And whether it's $70,000 or $170,000, I don't believe that we can live up to the requirements that are in there. I think we'd be committing to something that we couldn't do anyway. And this program, while it has merit, and I'm not talking about the underlying theoretical issues related to this evaluation process, I just think it's in its infancy. There's multiple changes coming down the pike, and I have very considerable reservations about participating in it in this way. I think just as the State Department came up with the fact that they threw now $1 million at the bullying concept, that's their methodology for saying that they're funding this program. I mean, there's significant issues, and only half of the program is even fleshed out, and that's the piece that's related to the subjective evaluations. They haven't fleshed out at all the quantitative piece, and they certainly have no model that extends beyond really mathematics and English. So I have a whole multitude of reservations associated with this. I'd like to let the process continue and for us to closely observe it and try to work hand in hand with our professional staff to be able to develop something that will be meaningful to not only Riverdale, but hopefully Oradell and River Edge as well.
Can I just ask for a point of clarification on the District Advisory Committee? Is that something that we're down the pike, not necessarily tomorrow, but when we do establish this, I guess, before November, Are we looking at this as being a Riverdale District Advisory Committee, or are we looking at this as being a tri-district?
I would like it to be a tri-district one. I'd like there to be board representation from each of the 3 districts and parental representation from each of the 3 districts, as well as the professional one. We have already in existence a tri-district model for supervision that has been in this, it's either its 7th year or 6th year, I'm not quite sure. It certainly predates my arrival here. And that project was developed around the Danielson model for the most part. If you recall, you had Art Firestone come in here and do a lot of staff development work that's associated with it. And the State Department is basically saying to you, yeah, you can have your own model, but we really prefer you to use one of the 4 that we have here. So I think it behooves all the 3 districts to have a combined advisory committee and a combined or a unified supervisory model that's used in all 3 districts.
Let me just make a comment that I think the school district on that, and from what I'm hearing from other school districts, they all concur with what Patrick's saying about this item. So giving the information that Patrick's giving us is only ensuring what I'm hearing from the other school districts in the county.
Could I just ask, though, that before a decision is made on the district evaluation committee, if we could just have a little bit of discussion at one of the public meetings prior to any decision, just because I'm having a little bit of a tough time wrapping my hands around the idea that an evaluation for a subject-specific teacher would be the same as the evaluation for, let's say, a self-contained 3rd grade or something like that. I just would like to kind of weigh the pros and cons before it gets to that.
Thanks for making my point. That's one of the issues that they haven't defined yet. They're basically.
Well, no, I mean, when the district when we get to that specific part, this one realm, it's not so much, in other words, whether we go to the approach as being a tied district approach for this committee or an individual, because I'm trying to understand what's being asked here of the districts from the state, and I'd like to think that there may be some differences between the type of evaluations you would do based on the nature of the program or the service that the teacher's giving us.
Well, I appreciate that, but that's the point. The state has a one-size-fits-all philosophy. They have a model that they believe it will extend to every teacher in every subject area.
Well,
I mean, today, we started with New Jersey Ask in the middle school. And we're now required that only teaching staff members on the payroll who have a what's called a SMID, which is a staff member ID number, are the only ones who can proctor exams. And my concern, whether it's founded or not, I won't know for a while, is that if I have a phys ed teacher come in and proctor exam and put his or her SMID, staff member ID number, down, and the students mark it in their booklet, are they going to use that relationship between the results of that exam and that staff member's ID number as what's going to feed into the 50% piece that adds to the evaluation model that you're talking about here? No one knows. Not only does no one know, if you ask, they won't answer.
They can't answer it.
right, but also, I thought part of the process of inviting districts into this grant opportunity was to allow the districts and the teaching staff within those districts to have some future say, hopefully, in how this is being done. I recognize it's a complex process, but that was my motivation in asking for your recommendation.
And I appreciate that. And perhaps I'm being overly cynical, but I don't think that's the real purpose of this. I think the real purpose of this is that we as a city, we as a Department of Education and as a state, along with every other state in the union, have made claims that we're going to do something that we're not prepared to do, nor do we understand what it is that we're going to do. But what is we don't even understand what the end game is supposed to be. And as a result of that, I think we're creating a system that's around the substance. And again, perhaps it's me being cynical here, but we're creating a system around a vacuum. And I think if the vacuum is pierced, if the vessel that contains the vacuum is pierced, this is all going to get sucked in, and we're going to end up in a worse place than we are now.
All right, I'd just like to
Sure.
kind of keep us all in the loop as we go
Sure.
about this.
This is fairly quick, I think. I've been noting the attendance at the meetings, and I was just wondering, and I've seen this at a couple of other schools, where they have bulletin boards, or I call it a bulletin board, but a signage outside, like the middle school, we have the big sign when you drive into the loop. And perhaps we could put, I'm suggesting that we put Board of Ed meeting and the date like a week before. It doesn't have to be big, even small letters, and see if it helps, just to get the word out.
Can I ask a question though? Only
Okay.
because I've heard some like thread stuff and all too.
Oh.
If it's on our property, can we put signage out there now too? Because I know the town of Wardell had you had to have that, the sign there that you drive by, nobody can see.
But we are,
I'm asking, I don't know.
only the size?
No,
Not the
are you
size.
talking about the board that's currently at the middle school?
At the middle school, they have announcements for
Oh,
PTO
I'm sorry, I
meetings.
thought you were saying about putting one up
Yeah.
here. I'm
I think
sorry.
that's a
No,
PTO
it's
board.
the
But it has PTO meetings all the time on it.
That's
But I
their
We
think
don't
it's
have-
their
oh,
board.
I thought you meant up here at the high
Michael,
school.
that's their board. The PTO bought that board. They can put
Oh, the
whatever they want.
PTO bought that board?
We can ask them.
Ask if they could
I'll understand what you're asking.
give us some little letters on the
I'm
bottom.
sorry, I thought we were talking about putting another sign up, that's why I asked.
Okay, but that's what I was asking, it's just, we already have it.
The PTO did purchase the board, but it was donated to the
To the
Board of
school.
Education. Yeah.
Oh, so it's still
Sure,
on.
I'll ask.
It's ours.
All right.
No, we cannot.
Can you ask the public if they have any comments? Do you have any comments?
Any of the students have any other comments? that are here? There's no smile behind the camera there, Leah.
I gotta figure out the date.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 9:52. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging in with us.
Thank you for staying. Usually you only get one to stay.
Actually, Mr. Neal, it was 19 punished. We have a...
Sorry, I took it off the agenda.
And Mike.